all those who were able to attend today, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. My name is Brian Marble. I am the Vice Chairman of this commission, and I'm sitting in for Michael Fortune, who is out ill tonight. I hope, is he going to be online? Did he mention anything?
I sent him an invite, but
okay. We're going to start out the night, number one, with the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Hinkie.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to walk the agenda down. First item of business is going to be, yes,
Will you introduce who's here?
tonight. You're recording, right? Tonight, tonight, commission is Bob Hinkie to my right, Tyler Riggs, Bob Washburn. As members of the commission, as city staff, we've got Brian Snow and Scarlett Bankhead. And is Tyler online with us? Tyler's online. We've got two very handsome looking people in the audience tonight. Got to do these formalities and learn them so that ready. Planning Commission would like to consider the approval minutes from February 8th, 2023. Got any issues, changes that need to be made? Tyler, is there anything you're concerned about?
The one that I caught was line 98, Diane Siegfried. Her name is spelled Siegfried, so just a misspelling on his last name.
And Tyler Cameron, anything that you've noticed?
Got it. Thank you.
That's actually on 79 too, so she's referenced twice in minutes.
79 as well as 98.
I've got
Well,
a couple things. Line 141, parties discuss net acre dedications and rights of way rather than right of ways. And 147, the portion commented on the general plan. It purpose should be its purpose. And no, that one's okay.
yeah, okay. We've got 4 changes. Got any, who would like to make a motion on the acceptance or rejection of the minutes as they've been presented to us from last meeting?
I think Bob should do it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes with those changes.
Second that.
Okay, we've got a motion by Mr. Hinkie, and we've got a second by Mr. Riggs. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously accepted. Okay, public hearings. I'm sorry. Public comments. Any public comments from the public? It's you two handsome fellows. No? Okay. Just in case. Then we have no legislative items tonight. I'm sorry, we have no public hearings tonight. We have no legislative action items tonight. We do have an administrative action item. Item number 1 is, you're gonna have to correct us when you get up here. Fazenda Beliza subdivision primary plat. Planning Commission will review, discuss, and take action on a request to approve the preliminary plat for Fazenda Beleza subdivision, a 4-lot, single-family residential subdivision located in the general area of 150 west, 620 south. Okay. Scarlett, would you please give us a report from staff?
Like was explained on the agenda, this is a 4-lot residential subdivision. It's in an R112 zone, which was formerly SFT. If we are working with the RGIS persons, we're going to work with the county to get those changed. But if somebody happened to look them up right now, R112 and SFT are the same zone. In putting together our staff report, we look at Utah code. We look at our general plan and our master plans. And we also look at our city code. As we go down the master in the findings of fact in our staff report, it summarizes a little bit about what we're looking at in each of our codes. And then when we get to findings, we go into detail as to what we found. We look at several places in city code. We look at Providence City Code 8-1-21, which talks about water availability requirements. We also look at Providence City Code 11-3-2, which lists the preliminary plat requirements. And we look at, and then we do our conclusions. And then finally, we do our conditions. In our preliminary plat requirements, we literally go down the city code, and if they achieve the requirement, they get a checks. If they don't, I usually have highlighted in red what is missing. This plat has achieved most of the requirements. Couple of things that are missing is on the legal description. They don't have the the surveyor's initial or signature on there. They have the legal description, but it hasn't been surveyed or certified. And then they don't have a statement and a lot of times when they don't put a statement, it's because there isn't any. But since we don't know that for sure, they don't have a statement that addresses if there are any wells proposed, active at abandoned springs, to let us know what's going on in that area. So that hasn't been addressed. They do have some existing ditches, canals, natural drainage channels, open waterways, and we do need a letter from the affected users indicating the plans are acceptable. And I don't think we've got that from either Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company or any of the users that might be on that line. So the developer will have to check up on that. Again, we've got the certified by a licensed land surveyor that they need. And then they also need the ownership of adjacent parcels of land. They had the parcel numbers, but not necessarily who actually owned it. There needs to be a written statement by the design engineer verifying that all lots have an adequate buildable envelope with regards to hazard slope, building, water, and zoning setbacks. Now, looking at the design, they do, but we do need that statement on there from the design engineer. They are not phasing this project. It's only 4 lots, and we say that you have to have a minimum of 6 lots to phase a project. And then the other thing that we need to have them provide is the information for the water availability requirement. Now, all of these things can be done in association with the final plat. They're not things that have to change this plat. You may see something in the plat that you have concerns with, so they're shown as conditions. But we do need to see the water requirement information. Well, we will need a preliminary plat that actually shows that signature, so that they will have to come in with that, but it won't have to come back to you for approval. We can approve that, or you can approve it conditionally. We can make sure they follow the condition as staff. The water requirement information does need to be provided to us, and there's a formula in our Providence City Code 8-1-21 that talks about that. So our conclusions We've enacted ordinances requiring that a subdivision comply with Utah code. We talk about our general plan. The framework map suggests the preferred scenario for this is neighborhood residential, which is what they're proposing. This plan is within a quarter mile of the level of service for one local park, which is Hampshire Park. However, it's outside the level of service area for any of the city's neighborhood parks and regional parks. The majority of the proposed development area is actually in a gap in park service. The proposed trails map does not suggest trail improvements in this area. However, as part of, Ryan, you might have to correct me. I'm just going to ask you a question. As part of our trails plan, are we marking 200 West? Or is that
County road, but I believe it's marked as on the counties and incorporated into ours.
okay? So our trails plan incorporates 200 West with bicycle. And then the transportation plan shows that this area of 620 South is a local road and it is not a limited access road, so it can have driveways on it. We do need to have the water availability requirements come in, and we need the red comments in the findings of fact section. We need to have those either addressed or clarified. And that's the conditions, is that they address the comments in the red in the findings of fact section, that they provide the acre feet needed for the water availability requirement. And then also they remember that they will need to continue to meet all relevant federal, state, county, Providence City rules, laws, codes, ordinances, and that approval by the city of any application or paperwork submitted does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. So along with this report, there is also a letter from Aaron Walker, who is the Deputy Fire Marshal for Logan City, and we contract with Logan City for fire protection and fire services. And Aaron does have some things in his report that he's approved, and then a couple of things that it's too early to tell. We'll have to see construction drawings, and some of them may even wait and apply at the time the homes are actually being built. So there is a report here from Aaron, and then we also have a copy of the preliminary plat in your packet and a copy of the parcel and zoning viewer map showing the general area of the parcel. And it's important to see that the parcel map does have not the parcel map. The preliminary plat does have 2 pages to it. So
Big page and little page.
it has page 1 and page 10, it has page 001 and page 102. There's just a little bit of different information. See, one shows the stormwater pond. Few things like, there's a little bit of information on both. But what is missing, we have the engineer's stamp on here, but we don't have the actual surveyor stamp. And maybe Tyler is a surveyor as well, but he's not signed it as a surveyor. He signed it as an engineer. So that's our problem.
Ready for
Or
questions?
Tyson, I'm sorry, I said Tyler. Sorry.
Questions?
I'm sorry. So
Well, yeah, you ready for questions?
I don't know, I can't even get his name right. Give it a shot.
You just listen then for it. Bob?
Yeah, I've got a question about parks, trails, and recreation master plan. So the little diagram shows a circle around the area that there's a gap in park service.
Mhm.
What does that mean? What does that mean to us?
It just means that that particular area is outside. So when we had our parks, trails and recreation master plan done, there are certain guidelines that the recreation people look at, density and the practical service district or the practical service area for different types of parks. So like a local park is a 1/4 mile, and that's a small park. And then it goes up with the bigger parks, like the biggest parks are regional parks, and they're a mile. This little piece right here happens to be completely, well, part of it, the pink area part, is completely out of the level of service area for any of those. So there's not a local park, or there is a local park, but there's not a regional park or a neighborhood park close enough to be considered within the level of service. And then in the pink part, that property is exceeded all of those levels of service. So that's what it means. However, it's kind of a difficult area because we're right up against our neighboring city there, and we didn't take their parks into account because they're in a different city. However, their parks are pretty close as well. So
I guess.
Comment on that one, if you mind me making a comment as well, sure. A comment for that. One, it does show the reasons why we charge park impact fees for construction, that in these areas we'll use park impact fees to help try to rectify that. Or if it is a large development, we may look for them to contribute property in order for us to have a park in the area. So if it was a large development, we would look and say, hey, we'd like to have you contribute property, or maybe contribute property in lieu of a park impact fee. But they will pay a park impact fee so that we can continue to grow our level of service.
I guess part of my question is, does that impact whether or not
not in this particular one, it would not. If we were in a great big area and we felt like parks were important, and we felt like for whatever reason we wouldn't be able to negotiate to purchase, because as Ryan said, we do collect impact fees to help us actually acquire property. That's one of the big reasons. I mean, it's for expansion, which includes property acquisition. Then on a couple of the big developments that I can think of, that have been outside of, that have had gaps, we have reached out to those developers, and they are working with us to look at areas that they either will dedicate or we will purchase or something to help remedy it. But in this particular instance, there really isn't. We would need to rely on park impact fees because it's not feasible to ask them to give us a portion of their property. It's not feasible necessarily for a park, nor is it feasible for their development. So, but it's just something to be aware of.
Tyler, anything?
So looks good.
And then,
I wanted to make sure that the roads were wide enough. This road is gonna be how wide when it's completed?
the road in the interior, the first lot in the subdivision is east of the first parcel of property that's on this road. So the first parcel of property is not included in the subdivision, therefore it is not part of the infrastructure improvement. It did have some infrastructure improved as part of the Sterling subdivision, which went in on the west side and put in the partial road. This property is extending the partial road that was put in by the Sterling subdivision, and it is extending it to our new 66-foot wide profile. So it will have 30 feet of asphalt, the 7-foot park strip, 5-foot or 2.5-foot curb gutter, 7-foot park strip, 5-foot sidewalk on its side, but it will end at the parcel that's not included in the subdivision.
So is there a way for us to get the final piece of that street?
That would involve talking to Mr. Stoffer, who's the property owner.
That's why there's a wall there, and that oil right there is really 30 feet wide anyway.
Yes,
So-
that was one thing when the Sterling subdivision came in, they had to make sure that we had enough asphalt to enter 200 west. So they did put the 30 feet in instead of the 24 at the west end.
So the first piece of road, street there is gonna be 30 feet wide, continue to be 30 feet wide. Yes.
When I built my house, the closest house is Fifth South.
Okay.
So Cherrywood was just an orchard back there.
We're gonna get to you. I have a feeling we're gonna hear a lot from you, so hang on. The city boundary is right on the south side of this
Correct.
subdivision.
Yep.
Okay. And then, and the general location is second west and 620 south, right? It says 150 west.
Well, that's because we're not down
Yeah.
that, remember that first parcel
Yeah.
is not part of it. So we have to bump up just a little bit. That's why it's 150
Just
west.
wanted to make sure. Okay. That's all I've got.
I'm just looking at the lot sizes. This first lot number 1 has 77 feet on the road. Can you remind me what the frontage requirement is for
It's 77 plus that,
R112?
plus the 18. See that little T, or it's a drainage easement, but it's an easement, so it's still part of the lot. So we have to count that 18 feet. I apologize, I don't have my, this isn't blown up for even my old eyeglasses. So, but you have to add the two numbers together. The lot width measured at the setback line in this zone is 95 feet.
Thank you.
Yep. And the developer and the property owner and the designer, who I massacred his name, are all in attendance if you have questions for them.
Thank you, Scarlett. Okay. Oh, wait a minute, there's 3 of you now. Okay, so who would like to start? We're gonna be talking to the developers and the owners tonight. Got concerns, questions, we've got concerns, questions. Who wants to start?
Yeah.
And your name is?
I'm Tyson Glover.
Tyson, would you come up here and?
I should be.
Oh, it's right. That's okay. We pulled it away. When
Oh,
we
that's
came
good.
in. We just need to know that you were here. No, this is people who want to speak.
The other one was signing in to donate $100 to the city.
Oh,
City skate park. You can leave it at the front desk.
no, I'm Tyson Glover. I'm the design engineer. City council in River Heights too, so it's getting, I know, hopefully that is received somewhat well, but.
Your mayor's not welcome back.
All right.
We're happy to have you.
So. No, I appreciate it. Scarlett has been excellent to work with. Done quite a few developments in the valley, and she's a good asset to the city. So I will address one of those. We do have a subdivision note on the first sheet, subdivision note 7, where we say that there are no known non-developable sensitive areas within the boundaries. At a preliminary stage, we go into a little bit more detail with that once we move to construction drawings. Just the time and effort that goes into that is usually put off once we, fully commit to providing construction drawings.
So there are some sensitive areas.
No, there's nothing that's
There's
known.
no, it's not too steep on the east side or anything.
No. No, and what we do have, we did order a boundary and topography survey with this. So part of the legal description on that first page says see parcel A. From this parcel number from the boundary survey completed on October 1st by Clint Hansen, who is a licensed professional surveyor. He has stamped that boundary survey, and it is on record with the county. So if we pull up the parcel map, that's our certified legal description that was provided by Clint Hansen. So that was the reason why that is on there.
How much elevation gain is there from the
So yeah,
lot
if we
one
go,
all the way up to the top of lot?
that's a good question. If you come here to lot 4 on the
Yeah.
second page, we have the contours shown. Those are on 1 foot intervals. And if I could zoom in, it's approximately 4640 on the east side up by the canal. And then where this drainage easement is, you're approximately 4614.
And did you do the math? How many?
27, 26, 27.
26.
Oh, okay.
26. So
Once I saw those lines, topographical lines, I was thinking maybe it was a lot steeper than that. Okay. You want to give us a history, or we're gonna leave it to the gentleman?
I think I've known the site pretty well for the last few months, but I don't think you're going to get them from me. I think these two here.
They're not gonna speak?
Oh, I'm sure they will. So I will add one last thing, and that would be the water share calculations. Our plan is to submit those with the construction drawings. Done those to Scarlett before, and with the subdivision, those are fairly straightforward. There are some in the state legislature, they are discussing water rights and water shares and how to potentially revise those calculations. So I would prefer to wait to see if any action is made on those, but I'm happy to provide them at the current standard if that's
Whatever the current statute is, that's what we go with.
okay. But yes, those are on our radar, and we're very well versed in providing those to the city.
So are you the surveyor
No, I'm the licensed engineer.
and you do the development?
No.
Do you want to claim any other hats? We were getting sort of quite a mouthful from Scarlett about.
Nope, I'm good. If you have any technical questions, I'm here to provide you any answers if you need those. So
No problem on the survey signature. You saw the
Oh, yes. So
the essence of the survey. That's not a problem.
well, that's what I'm saying is what needs to be signed is the boundary and legal description, which my argument is that's already recorded. We've already ordered that survey and it's been recorded with the county, and the surveyor has already signed and certified it.
So you just need to update that.
I think it should have been submitted as an addendum to this application. Ryan, if you wanted to pull that up on the parcel view, it's there as well.
That's okay. You don't need to pull it up. We just need to make sure that.
Yes.
You don't have a problem.
We have not, we've, dotted our Ts and dotted our Is, crossed our Ts. There we go. On that, we're not submitting a boundary that hasn't been determined by a surveyor.
And last question I had was the irrigation. What thought have you put into irrigation when you were designing it?
Yes, so this has been somewhat of a coordination with DJ and Gary. So Gary uses his share in there to irrigate his I was gonna say garden. It's up there. Yes.
One of the lots?
No, he's
No,
the
this-
existing.
Right down here at the
one.
bottom, I've got about a 35, 40 foot, 150 foot wide garden.
And what I've seen on one of the maps is that there is some kind of a ditch that's going to be abandoned just east or part of lot 4.
Yeah, so currently that head gate from the canal is just a couple feet south of the existing asphalt that we're going to be tying into. So rather than pipe that, and send it down the middle of the road. We prefer to just relocate that and run it down the south property line heading west.
Right. So you are gonna
Yes,
make accommodations for that, so that
Yes.
they can use water shares.
correct.
And that's gonna be from the blacksmith or the blacksmith work. You're just above the lower ditch, no upper ditch.
The upper ditch runs right across the top of my property.
Yeah, the Millville Providence Upper Canal.
Concerns, questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Can we have a history on the property? I mean, I'm not asking for 2 pages, I'm asking 2 paragraphs.
Well, this has been Stauffer property for over 100 years. My grandfather, Godfrey Stauffer, who was one of the main people in Providence in the early 1900s, had that property. He helped develop the Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company. He had a team of 4 horses and a big V plow that took 4 horses to pull. He plowed the streets of when you got winters bigger than we got right now with those 4 horses. And so he built the house on 5th South and Main with lumber out of Providence Canyon, and just a great guy. And that's where my dad was born. And I was born on the house in 1st West, 2nd South. So I've been in Providence for almost 85 years. And
Same neighborhood in Providence.
yes. Yeah. And actually, when Grandpa died, my dad bought the property out of the estate, his 6-acre field there. And so then I built my house in 1960. I got married in 61. We built the house there in 62. Like I say, there was no house. The closest house was on 5th South and 2nd West, other than for Blaine Olson there, which was about halfway through there on the west side of the road. So been there a long time. And just the reason for this subdivision is I've been leasing the property to some farmers. They've got hay growing on it. And I think they're getting close to where they're fed up with all the regulations and they're getting old enough that they may not want to rent that too much longer. And I have 4 children who would like to build homes on that property. And so they want to build on the Millville side. And in order to do so, I need to do something on the Providence side so I can hopefully come up with enough money to make all this work. And at least that way, if I've got 2 daughters, a son and a granddaughter going to build houses on the Millville side, we can kind of keep that in the Stauffer history. So that's kind of the reason for it. My lot originally was when I got that, I had Dad sell me that off of the property there. Why I was 300 feet deep to the east and 150 foot wide. So my lot goes over to the Providence boundary, which from there to south is the remainder of the field's Millville. And so anyway, I have 1 granddaughter that later on would like to build a home. And so that's the reason for I moved the boundary down 100 feet right next to my garden because I really don't need that much anymore. And in order to bring the curb and gutter all the way up from where it ended when they did the half a street for the Sterling subdivision, why I just will make that into this. So I've got an extra lot to sell her later on if she can afford it. So anyway, that's kind of a history there, but like to keep it that way. And I didn't want to, when the Sterling subdivision was being proposed there, they, in my opinion, Scarlett may differ a little bit, but in my opinion, they violated the ordinances and allowed that half a street. It got turned down in November of that one year because it didn't meet it and they could do a private road. And that's what the Sterling people came to me and told me they was gonna do a private road, and then the next thing I know, they bring it back 6 months later in July. Was gonna vote on it again, and in the meantime, the Sterlings were gonna sue the city. They had Bernston was the attorney, and so Jorgensen was the attorney for Providence City at the time, and he come up with some legal term, which I don't remember what it was or what, to vote on it again. They voted. Ron Lichty, who was a councilman at that time, said he would not give his approval unless a fire truck could turn around up in the top of the cul-de-sac with that. So in my opinion, there was a couple of
Sites.
well, no, what do I want to say? That's what old age does for you. But anyway, Van Sterling's brother-in-law was Knighton and Crow, which was Gary Knighton. Gary Knighton and Van were brother-in-laws. Gary Knighton also did some work for the city and was hired by the city at that time. Gary Knighton's the one that planned that development. He was the one that come and talked to me and said they would go with a private road, but they didn't. So in order for them to get that Ron Lichty's approval on that, Gary Knighton also owns Convergys over there in North Logan. They went over there. He said he wouldn't do it unless a fire truck could turn around there. So they went over on Convergys, drew the lot out on their parking lot, got the fire chief from Logan City to bring a fire truck up there to see if it could turn around there. I was in the parking lot below with field glasses watching all this happen. And when they did that, when Ron Lichty and the fire chief and them left, I got on my cell phone and called Ron Lichty and said, how did it go? He said the fire chief said that normally they only let the fire truck back up 3 times, but it took 5 times with this one. But he said, I guess we can live with that. Well, Van Sterling happens to be a fireman also, so there was conflict of interest is what I'm saying between his brother-in-law working for the city as the engineer and the fire chief. Ron Lichty, because the fire chief said they could probably live with that, but Ron Lichty come back and voted for it, so that's how the half road got in. So anyway, that's my story.
So how many of these lots are already sold? Or you have buyers for?
I do, except the one with my granddaughter.
Okay.
And actually, that's where DJ comes in.
And did you want to rezone it for multifamily high density? No, I'm asking why you didn't, because everybody else is doing it.
Well, because I'm an open type individual, and I like big lots and a lot of open space, so I can see the mountains. And the people there will be much happier with 3 or 4 houses down there and 60 condos that they were going to put on the west side of the road that just about brought an uproar here a couple of years ago.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if there's no more. Oh, we're gonna
Go ahead.
come on.
No,
I thought we were ready. Come on.
Let's see.
What's your name?
My name is David Green. I go by DJ.
Hey, not Jason. Oh, I mean Tyson.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess I come into the picture to help. I would like to build a house on one of these lots, and so I come into the picture to help put this together and help Gary out with this.
You're gonna do some of the development work.
Yeah,
But-
and end up with one
One of the
lots.
lots. You're gonna wanna rezone yours from multiple.
No,
We need to get an opinion, and that's how we get it.
I'd rather have my choice.
Okay. You want to present anything here? I mean, it looks like pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the only, I guess one of my things that I would like to ask, I guess the council is, when the Sterling subdivision was approved, it was approved with the 3-foot mow strip. And due to city code is currently 7-foot mow strip to get the easement. But just to not have such a difference in sides of road, but at some point, if we want to connect the sidewalk to have continuity in sidewalk to connect all the way to Second West, you know, to maybe shorten that 7-foot a little bit, because right now the sidewalk along Gary's property is right on the back of the curb and gutter. And so if at some point we want to make that connection to have that continuity in that sidewalk, without affecting that last lot, there'd be another big swooping section in that sidewalk to make that connection. To maintain that 7-foot as well as, but then you're gonna have 7-foot on one side of the road and 3-foot on the other side of the road for the existing road. And I know the city's stance on that was snow removal, and I get that side of it too, to have a little extra for the snow to roll onto. But even if it come down to 5-foot or something, just to have not such a difference between both sides. Because I would think that there could be some liability issues without being able to connect that sidewalk, possibly with traffic.
You do have a professional designer though on the job, and I'm sure you can make it very simple and beautiful. The Sterling lots have been in there for 10 years, 15 years, 18 years.
Was it
Yeah.
2005?
I think it was wrong. I should have brought, yeah, I had a copy of the drawing there. 2005.
We got plenty of history. I think unless somebody wants to take me on, I think we ought to leave it with the current statutes. I don't see the reason to.
I don't know that you have the standing to change it, so.
Okay, that's right.
I mean,
That's right. We don't want to talk about it. I'm glad you brought it up.
Well,
It's a problem, but there's worse problems in the city with sidewalks. We've got some ending right in the middle of a
right.
telephone pole and some other crazy stuff. Just too bad. It's just, who's that on the corner? Who's on the corner lot? Lot 1, west of lot 1.
Me.
Oh, you're
On the other side?
no, on the south side.
Yeah, that's Gary.
That's Gary. That's Gary.
Right here, this house.
Yeah, that's his house. It's.
The one that's Mr. Stouffer, not Stauffer. Your lot is 0003, correct? It's the one on Second, on Main Street or Second West at 620 South, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why, are you gonna put in curb and gutter all along that south side?
It's there.
Curb and gutter's already there.
It's there.
There's a brick wall and curb and gutter.
Sidewalk's not there though, right?
No sidewalk,
No sidewalk, curb and gutter's there, right?
no sidewalk down there.
Intersection.
No, there's no sidewalk.
On the west side, but not on the north side.
No, there's just curb. What happened there,
Maybe I'm.
in order for Sterling to build that and get as much as they could, they're within 18 inches of my property, which was built before any of those houses. And so when the contractor, which was Brett Rupp, come in there to do that, he started moving that dirt. And when he started moving the dirt, he came back to Providence City, said, I won't move another ounce of dirt until you put a wall up to hold that bank up so Stauffer's fence won't fall down. And that's why it's set. So they put the wall up, put the curb and gutter right next to the wall.
This is on the north side.
On the
Yeah.
south
South side. South side.
It's on the
South
north
side
side of
towards
Gary's
me.
house.
Gary's property. His fence
It's
is
on the
right.
north side of his house.
Yes, north side of his.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on the north side of the house.
so would you be willing to put sidewalk in there?
Okay, then I'd have
You'd have
to
to
take
take
out my
out the tree.
basketball court and and
Well,
put that.
we all sacrifice.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it would be a great
Why
thing for
why
this.
should I sacrifice when they broke the ordinance for Sterling to put that in the first place?
I'm sorry, I thought there was a sidewalk.
No, there isn't. There's no sidewalk there.
200 west and there's like,
Okay, I'm sorry, I
it
was,
starts to wrap as if you were going to start.
No, they did, that's what they did, so they could get it in there for the Sterling subdivision. And that's why.
so I'm.
That's
It's really
why-
too bad
That's
because
why I'm with DJ, why? And it was Rob that mentioned to me when I came down for some other business, that they wanted just 7-foot park strip in there to push snow. Well, I should have took a picture tonight because they push snow and they don't even come close to that. And the 3-foot is very ample on the side where the 7 houses are, because nobody's complained about it, and you can look there and it's not even over to the sidewalk when they push the snow.
I just thought since you're having to put in curb and gutter and sidewalk and all that, that you just kind of continue it on down and, add that to the quality of the city.
The other reason is that my bedroom's right on that corner and I get enough noise with the traffic that's closer to me. And that was the reason that Sterling came back and said they would go with the private road, because in order for him to get that subdivision in there, he didn't have enough room. They wanted 6 feet of my property back then to do that, and I didn't want to let that go.
It's the small retaining wall. Yeah.
I'm disappointed, Mr. Schaffer. I thought you would want to have a sidewalk in. Do you get a lot of walkers that go by? Hold on. You got a lot of walkers?
Everybody that walks on there don't even use the sidewalk on the north side. They walk up and down the road. Because there's not hardly any kids there. All the families along there, the kids are up and grown and gone. But
No.
anyway,
I just have noticed, I live on Main Street, and I've noticed a lot more walkers over the years. They increase every
everybody
year.
walks from me to Millville out to Don's Auto Body and back.
Yeah.
On Second West. There is
No
sidewalk there
sidewalk there.
all the way. Chair, if you're gonna have Mr. Stoffer speak, we really need him into a microphone so that we can put it into the record.
The history and his feelings about sidewalks. Okay, anybody want, well, we're done.
I don't have anything.
DJ?
What is the width of the road going to be at the end?
It's on that, there's 30.
So the width of the asphalt through the project is 30 feet, which is the city standard. Are you asking what it is inside the radius?
No, I just want to make sure the road width as it's planned is adequate for what our requirements are.
200, at 200 west, from 200 west to lot 1. Right?
Yeah, well.
Right at the side of Mr. Stoffer's home.
We're gonna widen that road just a little bit and then put a whole complete circle in there.
There's a profile on this plan of the.
Right.
It's one of the, it's in one of, it's, part of the-
That's 30 feet right there, and that's the city standard.
So in the actual subdivision, which starts east of the Stauffer property where his house is, the road profile won't be a full 66 feet because back in 2003 or whenever that was, we did have I believe it was either a 50 or a 55-foot road profile that this started out to be built to. We found out that there's inadequacies with that narrow of a road as far as complete right-of-way. So that's the reason we changed to 66-foot right-of-ways and increased sidewalk widths and park strips and whatnot. The asphalt, though, will be the 30 feet all the way from Second West up. Yeah, a minimum of 30 feet all the way from Second West. Where you're going to give up down on the parcel that's not included is you're giving up this. There's no sidewalk and no park strip there. It's just,
Okay, so is there asphalt next to Mr. Stoffer's property?
yes, 30
Goes
feet.
right there, so I'm not gonna have a dust issue.
No.
Nope. Okay, thank you. There's mud. Okay, you go ahead and sit down. Any other concerns we've got to bring forward? Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the, can you tell us why it's called this funny name?
Yeah, I want DJ to tell you why.
Please, you've been a little long-winded. Go ahead, DJ.
So it's Portuguese for beautiful farm.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's a great name, Mr. Stoffer. You chose it.
No.
DJ did.
I let DJ, because he went on a mission there
Okay.
to Portugal.
Okay, good.
Brazil.
That gives me a better feeling about that part of town. Beautiful farm. That's a great name. And I've seen that done where you change the language. And that's great.
It's not too weird, but it's definitely not understandable.
It's a lot better than Gary's Acres. Okay. Okay, I'm willing to entertain a motion if we're ready for one or additional.
So I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for the Simba Lakes subdivision at 150 West, 620 South, subject to the findings of fact, conditions, and conclusions of law and the staff report.
Okay, got a motion by Tyler Riggs.
Second.
Washburn has seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tell me about the end of the sidewalk, DJ. I do have one more question. Yes. DJ, tell me about the sidewalk and how it's gonna end down there, Mr. Stoffers. Right. Sit down and DJ, come up. So that's a beautiful fence. It's a beautiful retaining wall. No, you're gonna come all the way up here. Okay, this is not on the record, right? Anyway,
still on the
so
record.
this goes on.
We could really adjourn.
So you're gonna.
His days. Look at this.
have him-
Let's move on.
So that the sidewalk comes right up to the street.
Other agenda item.
It's not just gonna end in the back of
I
it.
think that's a good.
Great, I think that's great.
Just turn the sidewalk out to the,
Yeah, that's what Scarlett told me when I first mentioned it.
so
to
that
her.
it doesn't just end on some property.
Okay. We're done.
It's already approved.
We can take it there.
Okay.
In the-
I would
No.
highly recommend, if you do intend to extend the sidewalk through, right? Leave it at the property and at the. site,
Oh,
or at the
We don't have any say over it. I'm just surprised. Mr. Stoffer is proud of his property and it's gorgeous. I have a similar problem. I wish sometimes I need the sidewalk on one side of my house. There's so many walkers down there. I'm always looking for opportunities to see more sidewalk put in. It's part of the development process. Thank you for putting it in and the 7 foot and the 2.5 and all that stuff. Very expensive. I see nothing else on the agenda. Staff, is there anything else any questions or concerns you have for us?
No, we're good.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Will we close the meeting?
I second it.
Before we do that, there was this.
It's
one
not
point,
debatable.
and he was brand new. He promised us something about ice cream if we got done before 7 o'clock. So I
was wondering if we were going to, with the questions.
Sometimes we get a cooperative owner and a Jason and the DJ all at once. We got some good questions.
You gotta call the question.
Call for question.
If you guys want to close, or we can wait 5 minutes and then we can skip ice cream next time.